Here we go.
You know what time it is. Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Optimus Tom, resident AP, plays mid and his styles are shady. Got a syndrome, can't nerf it. You can find him in the chat, type of worth it. And that's Hornet, stuck in evil hell. Thought it was going up, once again it fell. Never spent a single dime alone, and if you step into his jungle, expect a brawl. All slander, math specialist, he's precise, doesn't tolerate estimates. The man's addicted, bets every hero. You can tell cause his bank account's stuck at zero. And last but not least, your host Pornophobia picks an 80 carry, and he's owning ya. He's got the full mount, ground and pound. Don't get excited, it's not as sexy as it sounds. That's your whole team, enjoy the podcast. Put your headphones on, we'll have a blast. We're checking email and Twitter, of course. Just don't ask us how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast, episode number 37. I am your host, Mr. Pornophobia. That's right, I added a Mr. this week. We are on episode number 37, and we're finally back. We've been pretty much, it feels to me like a 2-week hiatus, but it's really only been a week. Unfortunately, I was gone all last week, and then scumbag Tom didn't show up for last week's podcast, so they weren't able to do one, and because of that, we decided to do one this week. He's still on vacation, as you can probably see if you're watching the live. If you're not, if you're watching, listen to the audio, you will see that I am joined by Hornet AJC, also known as Hornet AJC. I almost had your in-game name.
Oh, yeah. I try to remain anonymous, just to avoid it. But hey, I've been gone a month, so this is even feeling weirder for me, more than you guys. So I've been on vacation, and then scumbag Tom killed us last week. So there you go.
Yeah, good guy Tom. I'm joined by Auslander as well.
I've been here, damn it, every damn week. On time, too. I'm always at least 10 minutes early, unlike some people.
And the guy over there making hand signals with the not pro today is replacing Tom. He is Mr. Sotere.
Yes, well, thank you for inviting me again. I actually feel like I'm on here all the time. I feel like this is part of my regular schedule. When I don't get invited, I'm kind of miffed about it. I'm like, what's going on? What is going on? Not only that, but I shit you not, 2 people in the last 2 days in solo queue have been like, I recognize you from somewhere. Oh, Trinity Force podcast. So shout out to my Pants Are Dragon and Picarus, I suppose, for recognizing the show and recognizing that I'd shown up on the show once or twice.
That's awesome. I know you were telling me that
guy
earlier today. And I told him, oh man, my pants just got a little bit tight when you're telling me that. Every time someone says, oh dude, I totally recognized you, I'm like, yes. But we've been playing ranked 5s recently, and Hornet and Sotere are both part of that ranked 5. Sotere playing AD carry and Hornet in the jungle. And I've actually moved to top lane. I know we've talked like the past 36 episodes I've been in bottom lane, but we did a little swapping there. So I'm learning a whole new role right now. But I think we've played 15 games so far, and we're just over 1,400 in ranked team at the moment. And we've been recognized at least 4 times out of all that. And, for us, that's, big ego boost. So if you guys see us and you want to say something, absolutely, we more than welcome it.
You can go ahead and ask us questions while we invade your jungle, because we are coming.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
so
the
at
truth.
what time do you walk into the river and wait?
Right now.
Yeah,
we'll just let you know if you see the ggC team, we're coming. We can tell you that right now. Even if we don't take blitz, we're still coming.
Oh man, giving it up early.
Yeah.
I need my laptop in front of me. We need to get into a good conversation, because at the end of the podcast, we actually got quite a number of reviews on iTunes after the last call out for it. I think we've jumped up about 10 reviews. I'm going to read a number of those, so if I walk away from the camera, if I don't talk for a moment, it's because I'm going to grab my laptop so I can read some of those off to you guys, because of course, if you guys go onto iTunes and find the Trinity Force podcast, we will rate you, or we will read off what you guys have wrote for us. So if you want to hear your name and hear any of your questions or whatever you guys have written on there, we will do it on the podcast. But
Wait, don't you have like 3 monitors? Why do you need to go get your laptop?
because I don't have iTunes installed on my computer.
Oh, all right.
I don't blame him for that. Apple tries to take over the world, so.
Well, he's going to get his Mac laptop.
Yeah, well. I mean, if you don't have like an iPhone or anything else, then I wouldn't install iTunes on my PC either. I'm just saying. It's not worth it. It like takes over everything and then wants to remind you, time to update, time to update, time to update.
Time. It's
Yes.
as bad as Adobe Flash Player.
Well, who doesn't have
Yeah,
an iPhone?
really.
Who doesn't have an iPhone after last week's Pentakill interview or the week before? John pointing at himself. I know. John has that
you
little
rich bitch.
Yeah. I know. I'm still on a Droid. Come on, guys. We need Droid applications. Anyway,
I have an iPhone, but still.
we have a packed show for you guys tonight. Since we've been off for so long, we have so much to talk about. To kind of give you guys a rundown of the topics here, we're going to talk about Jayce, the Proving Grounds, Thorn Bitch Lady. That's what we're calling her on this podcast because we didn't write her name in the document. The new Twitch, the new Evelynn, the ggClassic tournament, our arcade sponsorship with the ggClassic tournament, and the whole brand new website. Not to mention, if we get time to it, Pugs Bub and Yannick, two people who have wrote into the podcast, not written, wrote into the podcast, have asked us questions.
Written.
Yes,
Written, you maniac.
It is written. Yeah.
I should have done my vocal exercises before we started doing
I don't think it has anything to do with vocal exercises.
Okay.
Mental exercises.
I think it just has like to do with the grasp of English grammar, maybe.
I need Tristan to edit everything I say. I need a 30-second delay on my actual speak, and he edits it.
Tristan just kicked his cat listening to you.
All 8 of them. There's now a shortage in Canada.
Tristan is our editor, and he's also our sound quality control helper at GG Chronicle, and he would absolutely smack Pone in the face right now if he heard all shit, which he probably is listening to right now. I'm just waiting for the tweet to come out and be like, ting.
Well, Tristan's the best because last week he was talking about editing people's work and just kind of passively aggressively shitting on everyone, oh my god, he's the worst. And then after he craps on people, then he's like, you know what, you guys should write something for the website. And I'm like, well, there's no way in hell I'm submitting anything to you now. My fragile little ego, I can't take the damage.
I wrote one article, and he's like, he always mentions me as, the guy I had to, modify and correct the least. And I'm like, well, in part that's because I only wrote 3 paragraphs as opposed to the 8 pages everyone else writes. But now that's the final article I will ever write because I want to keep that reputation as the guy who almost lived up to the standards of Tristan.
Now you're too afraid to actually contribute anything else.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That and there's no boxes.
I was going to say that's bullshit because those boxes, he won't leave me alone about them. Get the box code working again. Get the box code working. You know what? Go ahead.
My JV basketball team, I led the team in 3-point field goal percentage. 1 for 1, baby.
Excuse me. Oh man, laughing too hard, taking a drink, can't do that. So let's.
For one.
If any of you guys out there watching live tonight, if the frames drop or anything crazy happens, I'm actually running my internet off my phone right now. My phone gets better than my Kentucky token ring. My phone gets better up and down than my cable line does.
No daisy chains, so it's way better.
Sad.
Yeah, thank you Verizon for being able to give me 4G out here in Kentucky.
Yeah, really. That's pretty funny in and of itself, right? Coverage everywhere. They actually mean it. Because if it's in Kentucky, then you know they got it.
They have no affiliation with us. I just pay them so I can host a podcast.
Yeah, really. I'm really excited to actually jump into Jayce because we finally actually see Jayce in a tournament scene thanks to Rain Man. And I really like the kit that provides more or less both the bruiser and the ranged aspect that Jayce provides, which is more impressive than I think anything else I've seen. I really, really like that you can pick and choose how you want to play it, but then for Rain Man himself, who plays both roles in the top lane, he can play ranged, he can play up front. It matched him so well, and then it was like he could disengage anytime he wanted to keep the lane exactly where he wanted. He controlled lane presence throughout the time that he played Jayce, and then actually forced a ban out later on in our ggClassic tournament. So I like Jayce's kit. I really like the fact that he gives both ideas combined into one champion. I really want to give Riot credit because this is really thinking outside the box for champion design, and I really, really enjoyed watching him more than anything else. I think I was really excited to actually see, and now I'm looking forward to seeing more gameplay from him.
I've been having a lot of fun with him. I started playing him first day he came out. I think I played about 10 games with him the first day he came out. I just went and blind picked and insta-locked every time, and I didn't care what I went. But I got top pretty much every time. Did play him 80 carry once or twice, and he's not as great of an 80 carry as he is a top laner. And his kit makes him so great for the top lane because, like you said, you pretty much on top lane, you're sitting up there in the range, and you're shooting from a range, and you're keeping yourself. He's got 500 range right now, which is Graves is 525, I believe. So he's just a little under.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so he's just a little under Graves, doesn't have a passive. However, he can switch over to the melee right away. And one of the coolest things about his kit, actually, first of all, for those of you who may have not have played Graves yet, or Jayce, or may not have played against him, Jayce has a ultimate that you start with at level 1, and when you switch in between it, you either go to your hammer stance or you go to a range crossbow type stance. And you have different skill sets that are on independent cooldowns in between both stances. So think of like a warrior from World of Warcraft where you had offensive and defensive stance. Of course, there was one more, but, same concept. What I've been having fun with him is, for example, his W. You can pop his W, and what it does is gives you 3 extra attacks at 70% damage, 75% damage, and they're very rapid succession, but they do less damage. However, you can hit W, swap into your hammer stance, and jump on somebody with your Q, and then have 3 rapid hammer stance hits. And on top of that, you gain mana back when you're in the hammer stance, when you're doing melee attacks. So it's very nice to jump in, get your mana back, and then you're able to walk out again, or stay in, you hit somebody away with your E. I mean, he's got so many different things. I could sit here and go over each of his skills. Jayce hammer stance, Q is a hop-in slow that does AoE damage. His E is an AoE that's around him, and it just does magic damage, and as well, when he hits somebody, he gains mana back with it. I'm sorry, his W. And his E is a % of life magic damage that knocks them back. And then his R, of course, is his switching stances. Now, if you pop into crossbow stance, I'll just call that from now on, range stance, crossbow stance.
Cannon,
thank you. Cannon will be the correct term that I will use. His cannon stance, his Q is a ranged ball that he shoots. Hey John, your camera dropped.
I actually clicked the wrong button. I was going to cough and turn off my mic. Instead, I turned off the camera. No, we're good. Keep going.
Don't worry about
Jayce,
that. You're
exciting.
Recording it locally. His W, yes, Jayce exciting. His W is those 3 rapid succession attacks that do less damage, but they're just 3 rapid succession. You can actually get 4 in if you shoot, and then you'll shoot 3 times after that. And his E in cannon stance is it's like a free Shirelia's, because you put it down, it makes like this little force field wall. Any of your teammates who run through it, they run quicker. But as well, it also has it works off your E, because you put your Q, you put your E down, you shoot your Q through it, and your Q does more damage. It goes further and quicker out to whatever you shot at. So you've got 6 abilities plus the hammer and cannon stance to play with, and it's just the interaction between them is amazing. So
I want to hear Sotere's opinion on this. I'm kind of curious because he actually casted some of these games as well.
Yeah, I did cast some of the games. I would like to say that I'm not incredibly experienced with Jayce, so anything that Ponophobia says certainly take with, take more to heart than anything I say, because I have not played any games with him thus far. I'm sure I'll play him a little bit on the free week. A couple of things I've noticed is his mana costs are pretty darn low, so he can spam those spells. A great, thing that he has in top lane. At first I was like, he doesn't really have, ways to get away from enemies, but of course he can knock them back, he can acceleration gate, which can help him avoid ganks, and essentially if he ever creates any gap between his enemies, then he'll put down the acceleration gate, and even at level 1 that's a 30% movement speed bonus, which is pretty big. Certainly great for those team fights. And we also saw Rain Man using Thundering Blow wonderfully as well, because it will knock the target back. So he would get behind the target, knock them back towards his turret, and they would be like, what? And then suddenly they would be getting ganked, and they would certainly die. And my experiences with him so far in the games I've seen him played and in those tournament games where Rain Man was playing him, the ggClassic, was that he doesn't really trade incredibly effectively in melee range, but he's able to jump up there, then use Thundering Blow and knock them back. So he gets in essentially like a free hit, then knocks them away, and then can poke them even more. And another great advantage he has over a lot of other top laners is it gets to a point where he can use Shock Blast through that acceleration gate and just get those 3 back minion mages for free, essentially. And he can do that when he's even afraid of jungle ganks coming in because he can do it from such great range. Whereas normally if you think you're being camped top, you have to completely back away. So he seems like a very safe farmer up top. Very good. I'm still trying to judge his team fight effectiveness, but I guess even if the only thing he has going for him is that acceleration gate, that would almost be enough. He, of course, has a lot of other things going for him as well. He's a great, kind of skirmisher, as it were. But that acceleration gate is so amazing for initiating and de-initiating.
I played against him top lane the other day against a Darius, and he actually Darius is a pretty good trader. He can pull you in, Q and W. Yeah. He does a lot of damage, and I traded with him fairly easily. He would walk up. This Darius in this instance would walk up to me, and I'd be just in range to get E'd in, which is his pull. He'd pull me in. He could automatically Q, auto attack W, which is auto attack reset, and I would have all 3 stacks of his passive on me. Then he would run away, but every time he pulled me in, I'd automatically E to Q, which is the extra damage, melee range, just enough so that goes through the acceleration gate, the Q does the extra damage, swap the hammer stance, and then Q and E him away, and I would trade just as evenly with him. However, he does get it off before I can. The trades came out pretty much even in that fact that I had enough abilities to swap in between that I could do the extra damage. And we also forget to add that whenever you swap in between your stances, you get an extra damage on each of your attacks. Your first auto attack out of each of the stances gives you more damage. So
what is the cooldown on it, by the way?
6 seconds?
Yeah, it's about 6. It is affected by cooldown reduction, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Sure.
And another thing, sorry to kind of butt back in there, but I actually played against him bottom lane once, and it was devastating because if you're a non-sustain lane, it's kind of like Varus. If you have like a Janna, for instance, like he can just keep on sending out those Qs, the shock blast through the acceleration gate. If he hits one of you, it does a substantial amount of your life because it just has great AD scaling, great base damage, doesn't cost too much. And if you're not on your toes at all times and get hit by those, and sometimes it can be hard to avoid, then you will get chunked down very rapidly. So he also has that potential of the kind of like a poke champion from top lane, because really when you think of poke champions from top lane, you think Nidalee, and then I think a lot of people have been using Rumble for poke compositions, but he might be kind of one of the next people that gets into that role because he certainly does have good range and decent amounts of damage.
You don't have to run him as AP to get the poke. Nidalee does decent poke, but Nidalee at AP does way more poke, and you don't have to run him AP to do that. Kind of on that same topic, I've been actually running masteries for him, for example, have been 14-16. That is 14 in offensive and 16 in defense because he does magic damage. So that spell pen and that cooldown reduction is very, very helpful that you get an offense on top of the armor pen and the attack speed because you want to be able to attack. Obviously, you want to be able to attack quicker and have the armor pen on him. I've been kind of running. It's like a volley bear. You walk in, you trade, and you walk out. And that's how I've been playing volley bear, for example.
I'm getting a notice that you need to reset the audio again. Maybe explain.
All right.
I'm getting the same one.
And
I'm also getting notice that we do have a review of Jayce that's actually in depth up on ggChronicle.com. So check that out.
That's right, Obscuria. ggC Obscuria, I believe, did that, and it was quite nice. The other thing I want to mention is that his wave clearing ability is pretty nice because of the gate and shooting through the gate. It was pretty quick. That's one thing I also noticed when Rainman was. Rainman was anytime he wanted to go back, push the lane, and come back and visit, it was so quick. Like he was laning against a Udyr, I believe, in the game that I got to cast, and it was shoot, clear, be gone. Shoot, clear, and then go visit wherever. And he was a presence everywhere on the map because of it. And that's something that doesn't always come into effect for top lane. Because a lot of your top lane bruisers don't necessarily clear very fast. Depending on who it is and what they do. There's exceptions like Vladimir, for instance, but others like, Udyr doesn't clear fast unless it takes Phoenix stance. Your Shen doesn't necessarily clear fast. you know, you get my point though. Is that that's one of the another advantage that Jayce presents is that being able to clear lane and then go visit other lanes or go visit jungle or go steal things. It's a very very common thing that I think makes a difference come down when it comes down to the gameplay and effectiveness throughout.
I've playing Jayce up in the top lane. What I like, what I really one of the things I just want to say with him is I didn't watch the Rain Man. I didn't get a chance to watch the Rain Man play him. I watched a few of the VODs or some of the highlights. You know, I watched him on stream, kind of go over some of the stuff he did. And I don't remember seeing the Rain Man do this, but you can actually walk from base because of like what Sotere said earlier. His mana costs are so low, you can drop an acceleration gate, walk through it, press your R, and you have a quick speed boost. You're up to like 500 move speed for just half a second. And you just continue to do that, swap between your stances as you're running back to lane. You are back to lane quicker than most other champions at less mana than other champions do. For example, like Udyr, you know, he gains his movement speed in E, but you're already down to 3/4 mana by the time you get back there if you're spamming E. And, you know, that's a rough guess, but Jayce, he's only down to like 90% mana by the time he gets back there because he's swapping between stances that cost no mana and acceleration gate that costs like 10.
Yeah, it costs 30.
Yeah.
But it's nothing.
Yeah, it's low. It's very, very low.
Really, just it's pretty incredible, and I think once more people learn it, I think we're going to see him pretty commonly, and then we'll see what happens because it felt like when it came out, it was like something that, you know, the kit needed to be used in the right way for people to really seem to appreciate it, and now I think people have, and especially if once Rain Man shows in the competitive scene, as soon as you see something in the competitive scene, people are going to copy that instantly. So, you know, that's gonna lead to other things as well.
I think we could see him. I don't think we'll ever see him as a strict AD carry, but I think we might see him in like some kind of crazy bottom lane combination eventually. How we saw Jarvan and Leona get played at one time. I think we might see him do that as well.
I agree. I don't exactly know which combination, but he has roughly, I think that's the same range now that Kennen has. Yep. So
no, Kennen's up at, he's still at 550. I think Kennen was actually at 535.
I thought he got nerfed to 500.
He got nerfed to 550. He did get nerfed, but he had a really actually high attack range beforehand. I will go ahead and check it up.
I was going to say check that because I thought he got lower than Graves when that switch happened, but I could be wrong. No,
he's at 550 now, so he was at 575.
Okay.
So that's kind of what made him viable as an AD carry, CC, but actually
absolutely.
really long range. So
yeah, right.
So now that's been cut down. So now he's actually at 550, and that's actually the range of Darius's Apprehend. So he was considered like a really great counter to Darius. He's one of the very few people that can actually poke out of his range of Apprehend, and of course Lightning Rush kind of counters a lot of things as well. But yeah, a lot of the top laners, like Jayce coming in now, and like Teemo, they're at 500. So they're really, you know, at any given point, they're within range of those gap closers. So they certainly have to have something to counter said gap closers. Right. And of course, Teemo has his blind, and Jayce has a acceleration gate and knockback. So they do both have something to counter that, and that's why they have shorter range.
I love knockback. Somebody comes in on you, and like I said earlier, you can trade very quickly with a Q from your hammer stance or a Q from cannon stance, and you just knock them back and run away, and you've pretty much traded with them evenly at that point.
It's a great disengage. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I've played two where maybe a little overzealous in top lane, and even the E doesn't get you out of there. So
shocker.
Yeah, shocker.
Shocker.
Well, you get Ranhurt syndrome when you feel confident? No,
it's not textbook Ranhurt syndrome. It's
no, it's not turrets.
They're not tower dives. It's just like you just think you can trade with a person, but you cannot.
I know your confidence. It still came through in bot lane easily. You're like, "Oh, come with me. Come with me."
Yeah, let's dive. No, I got better at diving. I got better at it as the game has gone on. The more ranked games we have played, the better I've gotten at being dumb. But map awareness is still one of the things that I struggle with, and that's pretty much what is killing me at this point in time. But that's not a conversation for here right now.
We'll get to that on another podcast.
That's right.
I don't want to interrupt our flow once again, but apparently people cannot hear you at all. So I guess XSplit's not picking up through the mic or whatnot.
They cannot hear me at all?
It's not appreciating you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to fix that, though, because I can't get to my settings to change it off. And if I get any closer to my mic, then it's going to ruin the MP3 audio. So I apologize if you guys can hardly hear me at this point in time. I'll try to sit a little closer, but I don't want to start clipping with my audio. So I think in the future I will jump back to the mic that is on my headset. Moving on real quick. Not real quick. I want to move into the Proving Grounds because we've been talking about Jayce and how great his poke is, and Jayce is a fantastic addition to the Proving Grounds. Since people can't hear me, I'm going to let somebody else explain exactly what the Proving Grounds are, if you don't mind.
Come on, Auslander. You played a few. Let's let you get in here.
Well, yeah, it's basically when you first make a League of Legends account, there's like they prompt you to play a tutorial, and it's this map, and it's kind of like Summoner's Rift. It's just one lane, and that's what the Proving Grounds is. Riot put some money into it, and redesigned